Children, come close. Oh, let me sip my tea first. You know, winter has a way of climbing into my bones sooner than into the air. And nights like these always remind me of stories that shouldn't be told too loud. This one is about my Hazel. Yes, that Hazel. My soft-hearted, wide-eyed, logic-driven granddaughter, who always believes I exaggerate. But the world doesn't need my exaggeration. It's strange enough on its own. And Hazel learned that the night she went on TV. It all began after that video of hers went viral. You remember? The one where she opened my mother's trunk? She found that little diary with the pressed flower and symbols older than our family name. She made a sweet, innocent video about it. She thought she was preserving her great-grandma's memories. She didn't know that she was opening a window to opportunities she never expected. A week later, a message arrived. A famous late-night talk show.
Oh my god.
They wanted her as a special guest. Prime time, national TV, spotlight brighter than the sun. Oh, and she was thrilled.
Yes!
She danced around like she had won the lottery. I watched her, quiet but uncomfortable. When opportunities come too fast, too big, too shiny, they come with the teeth. But I didn't stop her. You can't cage young dreams. So I simply told her, take the spectacles with you. The old ones. My mother's glasses. She wrinkled her nose and said, Gammy, these look like museum pieces. Oh, but I guess I could go for a vintage look. Wear them only when you go on the stage. They will know when to wake up. She laughed at my tone, but she listened. And because she listened, well, the night was kinder to her than it wanted to be. When Hazel reached the studio that night, she sent me a voice note. Gammy, it's freezing outside, but weirdly it's hot in this place. Heat draws certain things closer. Inside, Hazel said it felt like a greenhouse. Warm, humid, the air heavy like breath that didn't belong to her. Lights buzzing faintly over her head. Assistants moving around her with fast and sharp precision. The makeup woman touched her cheek. Hazel jerked away uncomfortably. She said the hand felt dry, like touching the skin left after a snake sheds. But the woman's smile didn't break. We like to keep the environment warm for our guest, she said, but Hazel never asked. Without overthinking, she simply assumed the makeup artist meant to say comfortable. The assistant directors started calling her on the stage, and my naive doll always gets nervous under pressure, but she knows to maintain her composure. She walked past the studio audience, standing backstage now. A whole sea of faces, all smiling, all sitting too still. They laughed at the warm-up comedian's every line, perfectly on cue, like a single creature with 100 mouths. Hazel felt something cold crawl inside her spine. An assistant told her that she had 5 minutes. His shadow behind him lagged, half a second behind his own movements. Hazel blinked, and it snapped back in place like a trained dog. Still, she went on. When they called her name, she stepped onto the stage. The lights were blinding, hot, almost burning. She remembered my words and slipped on the spectacles. They felt heavier than at home. But nothing looked strange. The world was perfectly normal. The host beamed his wide and glossy smile. The audience cheered in one single wave. Hazel thought she looked silly in those old glasses. She pushed them up her nose and sat, breathing through her nervousness. The interview began. At first, the questions were harmless. And a big round of applause for our next guest, Miss Hazel. This week, a lot happened on the internet, from politics going all around to people smacking each other. But something that took everyone by their heart was a sweet video. A video that connects you to your roots. So let's hear it from her herself. Hazel! How did you go viral? Can't say, Steve. I guess people simply loved my connection with my ancestors. Oh, well put. So, what inspired your video? I have to say my Gammy. She's a house of stories. She opened the trunk to tell me about my great Gammy and her adventures. I just simply decided to document it. Like a digital memory for my daughter and then her daughter and so on. So please go ahead and tell us more about your great-grandmother. The questions went on. Hazel blushed, laughed and spoke sweetly. But the lights above her grew hotter, almost sharp against her skin. Then the host's tone shifted. He leaned forward a little too close, and he asked in a cheerful voice, "So Hazel, what do you think the texture of your marrow is like?" Hazel froze. She blinked. Surely she misheard. The audience erupted in a laughter, too loud and too perfectly timed, as though someone pressed a button. My little bubble forced a smile. Sorry, what? The host grinned wider, head tilting at an angle human bones don't allow. Just teasing. You have lovely bones. Must be dense. More laughter, identical and synchronized. Hazel's breath quickened. She tried to steady herself. She didn't understand why she suddenly felt watched. Not by people, but by hunger. If it's not your time, the universe will protect you like it did Hazel. She dropped a pen. A tiny accident. A blessing. She bent to pick it up, and the spectacles slid slightly. The world twitched. Under the table, she saw the host's legs. Not normal legs, but bent backward, like a deer preparing to leap on prey. She jerked up, and everything looked normal again. Slowly, carefully, she adjusted the spectacles, and the truth opened like a slit in fabric. The audience no longer had any feet. They hovered above the floor, the shadows dripping downward like roots searching for fresh, warm soil. A cameraman's arms were bent wrong, elbows pushing outwards like branches twisting in wrong season. Another person's smile was carved too wide, stretching all the way to his ears. The host's eyes glimmered yellow, reptilian, tasting the air around Hazel. She felt her heart touch so hard that she could hear it in her teeth. The host leaned closer, voice syrupy. I must say, those are pretty old glasses. Vintage, huh? May I try them on? The entire audience leaned forward with him, at the same time, at the same angle. Hazel held on to her spectacles, knuckles white. She heard a low hum above her. When she looked up, the sign that normally flashes applause flickered and then steadied. It read, "Feast." The audience stood, not cheering or approaching, but slowly and silently. A tide of non-humans pretending to be human started walking toward the stage. The host's face rippled slightly, the smile widening impossibly.
You came warm, Hazel.
So warm. Hazel was screaming inside her mind, but not out loud. My warning finally made sense to her. She stood. From the end row, she could notice a faint green light. And so she ran. The studio rapped as she moved, walls bending like wax, hallways stretching far too long, shadows racing ahead of her. The spectacles hummed, glowing faintly, pulling her toward a thin line of green light across the floor. A path, a way out. Behind her, the creatures didn't run. They simply followed slowly, but with confidence. The air behind her shook with rhythmic clapping, not applause, feeding rhythm. Hazel burst through doors after doors, mirrors showing reflection that didn't match her speed. Doors were hands pressed from one side, long fingers stretching for her warmth. But she followed the light. Through a door that wasn't a door a moment earlier, she ran. Cold hit her skin again. She was outside on the pavement, gasping and shaking, because now she trusted the glasses. Me. My words. A security guard came running to her. Miss, are you okay? Are you all right? This place is boarded up. What were you doing inside? Hazel pointed back at the building. Lights, audience, host. But behind her there was nothing. Just a shutter. Broken shutter. Dusty and abandoned for years. Not a single studio light. Not a single human shape. No record of any booking. No filming, no staff. Hazel came home trembling. The spectacles were still warm on her face. I held her until her heartbeat returned back to normal. Then I made her a warm cocoa. And children, I cleaned the spectacles that night. They hummed silently. After all, they don't show the truth immediately. They wait, they sense, and then protect. My Hazel survived because she listened. And now every full moon, I whisper to the lenses and check their glow. Because the world is still full of faces that are only masks, studios that are only stomachs, and audiences that wait for warm guests. As long as such things hunger, someone in this family must keep watching. So keep your eyes open, even when the world begs you to blink.